Much way to review is Dewalt Tough System storage kits. Now, I had originally kind of looked at these and thought about them for first aid equipment in a kind of a modular mobile clinic thing, where I have this enclosed cargo trailer, which I could change out the interiors because nothing's permanently attached, except for some cabinetry at the front the previous owner had put in, but the basically everything in here could be changed out, and he used it as a combination toy hauler, camper, different stuff. There was some thought about turning it into a food cart with a food cart interior, but as you can see, it's full of junk, and the number one enemy of being an organized handyman is disorganization, which is kind of what I'm dealing with right now. And I also change trades fairly often, so I go back and forth between being a plumber, electrician, a carpenter. I really avoid plumbing, though, because that requires you to carry a bunch of different specialized tools and spare parts around for stuff that's just not compatible with the other stuff. And so I want to look at a modular, durable toolbox system that will outlast some of the others. Now, I had a Stanley one that basically broke apart on me, but I used it for a year. It paid for itself. It was a fraction of the money of what this Dewalt stuff adds up to. The gateway drug on this was this box that came as part of a promotional deal with some power tools that I bought to replace several that were stolen. Another thing I liked about it is it seems a little easier to secure. Now, it doesn't help you much to have a lockable box if somebody can steal the whole box. But on the backs of these is another type of a locking system. But notice it's not like there's a ring, so you'd have to drill this to run a cable through them, let's say, to lock them into a vehicle. But what other people are talking about is just running cables through the D handles. Run a lock cable through that in the vehicle, and then you can be in relatively decent shape. So that's one of the ways that works. What I was also looking at was mobile clinic first aid supply type stuff, and then changeable, let's say, van and vehicle interior. You can see how this is a little bit of a mess right now, but I'm dealing with it. And the modules average about 60-70 bucks each. If you buy this box separately, it's going to come with a bunch of like little interior toolbox organizer trays, at least at Home Depot. This one's just basically a large box. I think it'll have a single interior tray. And this one is, right now, I was pretty much only able to find it on Amazon. Although Home Depot will have it on their website. But I got this off Amazon. And interestingly enough, these are listed on Amazon. When they list what country it's made in, it lists these as being made in Israel. Now, I had also originally been looking at these as an alternative to Pelican boxes for a lot of stuff, because Pelican, as far as I knew, didn't have a drawer unit. This does. And what that means is that depending on how I stack these, I could put drawers on the bottom with a lid opening box on the top, and I could go relatively tall as long as I don't have too many lid opening boxes and then have to swing the whole system back. They connect together with this kind of Lego-like system that's pretty tough. What you have to do is pretty much you have to use a Leatherman tool to pry these out of their little notch. And then you can hammer it with, kind of hammer it with, let's say, a rubber mallet or something to get them together. But it is still a polymer, so I don't know how long that'll hold up. The similar locking system that Rigid put into their stuff is metal. Okay, so it's a large metal baling wire. And but the other side of it was Rigid never had a drawer unit. The drawer unit is what allows you to stack. There's nothing here that opens on top, but it allows you to stack one of these units on top and then add drawers to the bottom. So the way this works is you got to push these in. It's a latch but not a lock. Push that in, and then you've got a relatively tough Zytel plastic drawer. And in this, there was a little bonus here, which is a bunch of little organizer boxes. That's really important for electrical work, which is what this is going to be set up as, an electrical toolbox. The other cool thing I kind of like about it is they do have metal rails on here, so it's it's decent. Okay, so we press that button. You can see how that latch works. It's decent. We'll see how it holds up. But here's the downside, and here's why this isn't going to work with the medical stuff I'd originally intended to kind of test these for. Is that when this is closed, it's not sealed. So if you've got a dusty, wet environment, this isn't really going to work for that. There's also no drain holes in here, but easy enough to drill a few. But there's no drain holes in those. So if it's in a really wet environment, gets water inside, well, then you've got a puddle inside. So if you want drain holes in that, you'll have to drill them. And I would suggest putting drain holes in the drawer unit. The other thing is, of course, you could overload the system. Now, these all have handles because of the locking mechanism that's on the hand cart that goes with these. Okay, there's a hand cart that goes with that. Of course, they would have that's part of it. But what I was looking at, I was thinking, okay, this 3 high with probably the drawer on the bottom and the other stuff above it would be the way to go. The problem with that is that ends up being so heavy that when it's all fully loaded, it's not really going to work. But then that depends on what you're going to have in here. And I'm looking at redoing the van interior with these things in such a way that they're locked into it, but I could change out the interior and put it in a different vehicle at a later date. And that's where these kind of excel. And and of course, you don't really need the specialized Dewalt hand truck for these things unless you want to take advantage of all of its features. I figured out fairly quickly that I can do a little bit of cut and weld on a standard Home Depot or Harbor Freight $39.95 hand truck and accomplish most of the same stuff with it. It just requires a little bit of modification, which it's open to doing, and I'll show that in later videos, especially when we start incorporating the drawer unit below some of these other boxes. That's where you can develop your own toolkits in a modular system, which could be changed out later on.